So what can you promise them today to gain if they gave us their website?
That what we're going to break down is how I've been able to achieve a 4x ROAS lifetime across multiple niches and verticals, like what comes down to a really high converting campaign and how I look at ads and how the landscape has changed.
How did you get the first client?
I took that funnel from 170K a month in revenue to 1.5 million a month in revenue within literally 30 days.
What are the key components for an offer to be irresistible?
But I see the biggest mistake that some entrepreneurs make is that
Jason Wojo, a serial entrepreneur and the mastermind behind Wojo Media. At just 26 years old, Jason has already made an indelible mark in the advertising space, spending over 30 millions on ads and generating an outstanding over 122 million in returns. His expertise has earned him a spot in the Forbes Business Council, recognition in New York Weekly 30 Under 30, and featured in top-tier publications like Entrepreneur, LA Weekly, and Yahoo Finance. Jason's journey is nothing short of inspiring. A self-made multimillionaire with a net worth of over 4 mil, he has scaled over 1,300 businesses to 6 figures and over 58 businesses to 7 and 8 figures. But Jason, you grew like over 1,300 companies, you scaled them, or businesses, I would say. If you could list me, what are the main challenges in these companies?
Yeah. One is they're not open-minded to what's.
Hey Alphas, before we dive into today's game-changing episode, let's talk about taking control of your financial destiny with XM, our trusted sponsor for this episode. They're not just a global trading platform, they're your partner in financial empowerment. This Ramadan, XM is stepping up their game with an amazing offer, unlimited cash back on your trades when trading gold and Bitcoin pairs. So just imagine earning back with every trade with no cap on your rewards. Whether you're investing in gold, our timeless asset, or navigating the dynamic world of Bitcoin, XM is here to make sure you prosper. So now, I want you to picture this, your life without endless grind of 9 to 5, where every minute feels like an hour. With XM, break free and trade on your terms. Fully online, anytime, anywhere. It's your journey, your pace, and your future. And if you're stepping into the trading arena for the first time, like I once did, XM is your gateway to becoming a pro. Their daily live educational sessions and certified offline courses in cities like Dubai, Morocco, Oman, and Cairo are crafted to turn you from a novice to a master. I've been there and it's transformed my trading skills. Plus, for those not quite ready to fly solo, XM Copy Trading lets you mirror the moves of the pros. Earn as they earn, learn as they trade. So why not kickstart this Ramadan with XM Cashback promo? I did, and trust me, it's not just rewarding, it is really revolutionizing. So register for a standard account, verify it, and make the most out of it with XM Ramadan Cashback promo before it ends on March 31st. So what's you waiting for? Don't just listen, act. Click the link in our episode description, register, and start transforming your financial future today. Now, let's get into today's episode tailored for alphas like you.
Welcome back, Alpha Squad, to a new inspiring episode of the Alpha Talk Show, the number one fastest growing show in the region. Today we have a phenomenal Alpha guest who's a true game changer in the digital marketing world. Joining us is none other than Jason Wojo, a serial entrepreneur and the mastermind behind Wojo Media. At just 26 years old, Jason has already made an indelible mark in the advertising space, spending over 30 millions on ads and generating an outstanding over 122 million in returns. His expertise has earned him a spot in the Forbes Business Council, recognition in New York Weekly 30 Under 30, and featured in top-tier publications like Entrepreneur, LA Weekly, and Yahoo Finance. Jason's journey is nothing short of inspiring. A self-made multimillionaire with a net worth of over 4 mil, he has scaled over 1,300 businesses to 6 figures and over 58 businesses to 7 and 8 figures. His company, Wojo Media, is renowned for its creating irresistible offers, crafting high-converting sales pages, implementing omnipresence targeting, and tracking key performance indicators to drive success for their clients. So today, we'll be exploring Jason's story, his proven strategies for digital marketing success, the lessons he learned along the way. So get ready for an insightful and impactful conversation with the one and only Jason Wojo. Welcome to the Alpha Talks.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'm really excited.
How do you feel today?
Good.
Super. I'm looking forward for a great conversation with you today.
Yeah, of course, man. No, me too.
Jason, the first question I usually ask is when we publish the episode, people will see the thumbnail, they will see the graphics, the title, and they will think that it's a really interesting episode. So, what can you promise them today to gain if they gave us their website?
I would say that what we're going to break down is how I've been able to achieve a 4x ROAS, like lifetime, across multiple niches and verticals, like what comes down to a really high converting campaign and how I look at ads and how the landscape has changed.
Super. I think everybody would be looking forward for this because, Jason, one of the main things these days with the digital marketing overall, a lot of scams. A lot of people promise you a lot of things, but at the end, there is no results. But let's start before. Who's Jason in a nutshell?
Yeah, so I was a culinary school dropout. Figured I didn't like cooking. I went to culinary school for about a year, dropped out, and I decided that I wanted to go all in on entrepreneurship because I had this fantasy with flipping Pokemon cards. I still do to this very day.
Oh, really?
It's a little vice of mine. And from doing that, like I saw a lot of things in the market and transacting and like shipping and small things like logistical things. And then once I was done doing that, I found an ad from Ty Lopez about SMMA, why not buying his course? And then I got into social media marketing and I was still living in New York at the time. So I was just working with like local barbershops, brick and mortar, restaurants, stuff like that. I was just doing like Google ads, their Google My Business, local Facebook ads. And I was getting them more customers and like I wasn't charging a ton back then because I was 19 years old.
But that's before creating your own company, right? Like Wojo Media. These are all like kind of freelance type.
It was freelance, but I still called myself Wojo Media because at the time, like I was warming up a lot of stuff. Like one thing I'm always thankful for is a lot of people in my space deal with like getting shut down by Stripe and QuickBooks for payment processors. Back then, I warmed it up, and like now I have no issues with Stripe. So like it was Wojo always. So like I was doing that local business, and then after that, I met this clothing brand called Hustle Island. They wind up, selling within 11 months, but like I learned so much being with them for 11 months. Like we were running like 2-3 grand a day on Facebook. We were running active campaign, click funnels, downsells, upsells. It was a free plus shipping offer. And like that's where I learned most of the stuff that I know now is like fast growth marketing direct.
But what inspired you for this particular niche? Like the advertising, like you can be any type of entrepreneur. Why this type specifically?
I thought it was cool to like run an ad and have somebody click a random image or a video and somehow get them to buy something. I thought it was like this cool, it was a big dopamine effect for me.
Oof.
Like being able to write words that sell and get somebody infatuated into your offer and either get them to book a call or click an order form and put their credit card in. Like I thought that was cool. I was like, did I just get that person to buy something without talking to them? I thought it was cool. So
how long was that? How long was that back? How many years back?
That was 6-7 years ago because I'm 26 now and it's my birthday. It's my birthday in 17 days, July 27th. So I'm going to be 27.
21st.
So
Before you 6 days. 21st, my birthday.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
Same month. So who were you who influenced you in your early times? Like who were the mentors, I would say? Like you mentioned Ty Lopez.
Yeah, one of my biggest mentors was actually a guy who doesn't really do anything on the internet. He actually hates internet marketing. His name's Greg Berry. And that was the one who ran Hustle Island. That was the clothing brand. He got into the embroidery space. He ran this brand for 11 months. And Greg was not just a mentor, but like a really good friend of mine because I lived in New York. He lived in Connecticut. I just drove across the bridge a lot and just like visited him, hung out with his family. He was a big introvert. He didn't really like hanging out with a ton of people. He had maybe 3 friends, and I was one of them. And dude, this guy was 40 years old, and I was 19. And like we just got along. He's like, dude, exactly. I don't talk to a lot of people. I just like talking to you. I don't get it. But so yeah, Greg was a big influence, and then he decided to get out of the online space, and he decided to start an embroidery company like at scale. Like now he runs 12 factories in Miami. He doesn't do anything on the internet. He just does a lot of embroidery for like Printify, Printful. They do $300 million a year. He's very behind the scene kind of guy. He doesn't do internet stuff. Like if you look up his company, there's no website.
Doesn't exist. Doesn't exist.
It does big corporate contracts. And, like when he was in the online space, he was just like, yeah, like I'm tired of dealing with all these customer support tickets. Like I'm going to go run a real business. And I was like, well, this is a real business. But he's like, nah, I want to deal with people who want to wire me $3 million, not people who are mad about a $37 subscription. And I was like, okay. So he decided to shut it down, and then he just like started doing a lot of like real estate and bought all these factories. And
but why you call him as a mentor? What kind of lessons you got from him at that age, actually?
I think the biggest thing was like with him that I saw was no one's going to listen to you unless you like make money.
True.
That was one lesson that I always learned. Like every time I would see Greg talk to somebody, they would always listen to him because he made a lot of money. But like other people, I would hear them talk and I'm like, no one's listening to that guy.
True.
That guy was poor. So like that was one lesson. The second one was like, you're only going to win if you do right by others. Because regardless of what you sell or like what you do, if you're not serving other people, like you're going to get caught at some point. Like you're just going to get caught up in the noise. You're going to get caught up in the money making, and you're going to get exposed for it. And then the third lesson was like, you don't always have to look. And this is a story from like his childhood, which was about like when he was 14, his father was like stationed in Japan, and he was rock climbing with this kid from school. And like he was rock climbing and his friend fell and he got injured and he had to take him to the hospital. They go to the hospital. He goes into the wrong entrance and they pass this guy in the hall. He was a janitor, and they're trying to get this infection fixed. And, the doctors have no idea what to do. Like, they're just like, this infection's spreading. We don't know how to fix it. They wind up calling in the janitor. And little did they realize that the janitor was actually a Baruku. He was like a Japan untouchable. So like, his ancestors were like slaughterers, grave diggers. This guy, janitor, he had nothing to offer the staff because he didn't dress well. He didn't try to fit in, but they had to listen to him because he was right. And that's all that mattered, because they just wanted to be right. So that was my third lesson, was that regardless of how you look, or like all of these things that you might embody, if you're right, people will listen to you because they always just want the right answer. They don't care about how you look.
Let's move to Wojo Media. What inspired you to say like, okay, it's time to set up a company? And what was the vision in the beginning?
So in the beginning, it was mostly about doing social media management and working with local businesses. I wasn't running ads to get clients. It was all local businesses in New York. So I would go and cold pitch. Like I would drive up to a restaurant. I would go find the owner and like order food from there. And that's how I pitched. So it was all about local business. It was their Google Maps. It was their website, like all the small local services that we could do. And then it started expanding. And then I started getting referrals. When I was getting referrals, they were not in New York. They were like, hey, here's my cousin. He's in Jersey. Or here's my cousin. He lives in Florida. Like, can you do his stuff? And I was like, damn, I've never done somebody who's not in state.
True.
So maybe this will work. Maybe it won't. And I had weird money blocks around. I didn't understand that, like, you had the internet. You could do whatever you wanted. So, yeah, like that was the vision at first. And then I realized that there was small amount of scalability in a local service-based business. Like, there's a lot of local businesses that do well, but like, when I was working with barbershops, I was talking to the owner and he was making $20,000 a month, 10, 15, 20,000 a month. And I thought that was so much money back then. I was like, damn, that's a lot of money. And then I realized now working with those businesses, dude, that's literally zero. So like, it was this thing where like, I just had a lot of money belief issues that allowed me just to stay in that local area. And then I started getting exposed to like bigger money and bigger people. And then I kind of just like learned, and it was just more efficient. Like I was getting referrals who were out of state, and then those people out of state were getting service from me and they started seeing results. And then I started posting content online. And then from there, I was getting a lot more national clients.
Jason, as an entrepreneur, when you were starting your business, what were the challenges? Because a lot of people now trying to jump in the entrepreneurship journey. Before we dig deep into ads and so on, what were your challenges? Like starting on your own, setting up a company. Is it finding clients? Is delivering the service? Is it a cash thing to keep things running?
Yeah, I think if you have a lot of grit in the beginning, you can get it off the ground organically without having money. But then at some point, like you need to reinvest the cash flow. And that's where most people just don't get it right, is that they look at money and they hoard it. and they're not willing to invest it. Like they're hoarding all this money that they're making organically, and they just don't want to invest because they never felt that kind of money before. And this is the first time they're making money on their own. So it's like a possessive thing.
True.
So that's number one. Number two is like when people get into business when they first start, they always think that they need a partner. And I've been so against this for a while. I just do not believe that's the case. In the beginning of your business, it is your duty as the entrepreneur to prove the concept yourself. Then you can find other people who either can give you capital or funding or just hire them as a contractor and have them come in and help you with certain things that you don't know. But I see the biggest mistake that some entrepreneurs make is that they have a business, they have an idea, they go find a partner, and then when they're making 200, 300, 400 grand a month, right? I just had this guy I'm coaching right now. He's making 400 grand a month and he's splitting the money between somebody and they're on 30% margin. So 30% margin, after you both split it, you're only getting 40 something grand each and you got to pay taxes on the 40 grand. So you're running a 400K business and you're bringing home maybe 20 grand a month profit. Like it's not worth it. So I think that you should just get it off the ground yourself and prove the concept. Then from there, you just hire people out and you retain the cash and you retain the equity and the advisory shares.
How did you get the first client? Like first real client? It's also referrals or like, because like you can have a great product, but if you don't have a client, you're sitting with nothing.
So the first client I ever got was a barbershop, and I actually went in for a haircut. And I went in for a haircut with no intention at all, by the way. There was zero intention. I went in for a haircut, and I saw he had a Grant Cardone book on his shelf in the barbershop. And I was like,
10X.
yo, I follow Grant. Like, that's dope, dude. And he was like, yeah, dude, I follow blah, blah, blah. And I was like, hey, like, are you doing anything with your like business right now? What's your biggest bottleneck? He's like, a website. And I was like, bro, I do websites. So I started talking to him, and like barbers are strictly cash. They don't really take a lot of credit cards. So his name was Jose Venancio, and they called him Hove. And I was sitting in the chair, and he's like, how much is the website? And I was like, oh, it's $750. This man just pulls out $750 in cash and gave it to me, and I left with $750.
Here you go.
And I was like, holy shit, I was not expecting that at all, dude. It was crazy. And that's how I got my first client. And then from there, he was paying me $300 a month when I charged that small amount of money, like $300 a month to do social media management. It was one post a day, and that's just what I did. And then from there, I started getting referrals. I got his friend Romel, who ran a Dominican restaurant, went in there, $300 a month, and I just kept stacking from there.
Oof. Then came that you 4-timed your return on ad spend. If I want to break this down, how did you manage to do that? 4 times the return on advertising spend?
What you talked about before was actually very good of a pre-frame. You said like the digital marketing space, people think is like a scam. And I'm going to break that down first before I actually break down why I get a higher ROAS. So first things first is there are agencies who sell to the wrong people just to get a retainer. They will go out there and they get somebody who has a business with zero money, and they're like, yeah, we'll run your ads, and here's a contract for 4, 5, 6 months and pay us X amount of money. They get locked in an agreement. Okay. Those people are the ones who are marking it a scam because they didn't prove the concept themselves. They didn't have any skills. They had zero patience, and they made it harder on themselves to see a result long enough to even be patient to seek the result. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that
I saw a lot of these.
Yeah. And
I saw a lot of these, true.
So in our business, we have 2 paths people can take. Okay. They can either do one-on-one with me first if they're just starting out to get their concept off the ground so that it's not a retainer. Or they're a qualified business who's spending money on ads already, and then they can go into a done-for-you contract. We don't just push everybody into DFY because it causes a bunch of back-end fulfillment. The problem with digital marketing space is that people sell people sell courses and stuff, and like, dude, I'm not against that, but it's like when you're first getting off the ground, you don't need a course. You need someone telling you what's right, what's wrong, and what's custom to your business. And that's why people like the one-on-one path a lot better. So we started doing that, and LTV went up, retention went up, customer satisfaction went up. It was easier for us to drive a result. Now it brings me to how do we get the result? Yeah. When businesses get off the ground and they get into the ad space or digital marketing, they only care about ads. They're like, oh, just run my ads and make me money. Okay. Most agencies just run ads and that's it. Okay. And that's why most of them suck. So with us, we do a couple other things that really help the process. Number one is before you even think about running ads, you need a good offer. And people throw this word around so much. They're like, oh, like my offer's good. Are you making money? No. Okay, then your offer sucks. Like you need an irresistible offer that when you run paid traffic to predictably actually converts people at scale, and you're willing to track the KPIs of what a new customer's worth, and you're willing to actually sit there and go, okay, cool. This customer is paying X amount of money. How do I ascend them? How do I upsell them? Is this product valuable? Are they getting activated? Like what are these things with your offer that are actually struggling? The second piece is the copy. People throw this word around a lot. They're like, oh, like I have a lot of great copy on my page. I'm like, no, you don't. You have no unique mechanism. There's no expected timeline, no expectation, no guarantee. You talk about no storytelling. Like there's nothing here for you.
No urgency, no scarcity.
So like copywriting and having a good landing page and having a good sales process is what's going to dictate every single click that you get on an ad, who converts or not. So if your conversion rates are low and your offer is not great, people will blame the ads because the ads are easy. It's click, publish, edit, whatever. You're done with the ads. But the offer,
your targeting is wrong. You're spending too much on the wrong thing. True.
Yeah, but the copy and the offers, that's the hardest part. But that skill is very hard to harness. And it took me years to be able to be that good. And then that brings me to number 3, which is, yes, your ads, but your omnipresence of them. So you're running ads on Facebook and Instagram. You're depending on one platform only. Why are you not running Google and YouTube and TikTok and LinkedIn? Like, why are you not tapping in other traffic sources? If Facebook bans you tomorrow, you have no business.
You're done.
Having omnipresence is massively important. Now, if you do get banned, we have ways to get you unbanned, but they're not cheap. They're 5-figure investments to get unbanned. So people don't want to pay that. So go be omnipresent. And then the fourth piece is your KPIs. Like, what are the numbers that dictate revenue in a business? Don't just sit there and say, oh, I'm running ads and I'm getting let's say you're getting a 1.8 ROAS and you're not really crazy profitable. Don't blame the ads, blame the numbers that you're not tracking. Like, what's your cost per lead? What's your cost per show? What's your close rates? What's your churn rate? Like, what are these things that are going on in the business that dictate revenue? Not just ad spend. Like, when we run our ads, right, we get about a 2.3x return on month 1. And people will say, well, Wojo, you talk about a 4x. Listen, that's on average across 90 plus niches and verticals. I get a 2.3. Then what do? I get them in 60, 90 days to keep paying. So now they're at a 3.5, 4. Then I ascend them into bigger programs, masterminds, coaching, and now they're at a 6. I'm doing more on the back end than the front end to make more money.
True.
So that's the
Jason, you grow also the client to create more products and services, or you focus only on the ads part?
So we focus on every piece of it, their product ladder, their offer stack, like all of those things. Because like a really good example of this is a very big guy in the space that you might know who is Andy Elliott. He's a very big sales trainer. And like when I came into that business, and me and him are partners now, when I came into that business, I took over his book funnel and he had one upsell in it. And Andy and the whole team kept saying, oh, the ads don't work. Ads don't work. All our business is organic. I said, listen, Andy, no. Okay. You just don't have enough upsells. You're not building MRR and you're not selling a way to incentivize people to upgrade to X things. So what did I do? I added 3 upsells and so it was book, $97 for a course. And then the next page was, hey, get in our weekly group coaching for $99 a month. Okay, cool. If they said no to that, we said, hey, give us $1 for 14 days, then $99 a month. If they bought the $99 a month, we then upsold them to lifetime, which was $997. If they bought the $997 lifetime, we also gave them a ticket to come to a live event. We gave it as a bonus if they upgraded on the page. So now he's activating people, getting $997 upfront for the whole year. MRR goes through the roof. Also, you go into an event and the average person spends $8,000 at an event because of the packages that they sell.
True.
So then I took that funnel from $170K a month in revenue to $1.5 million a month in revenue within literally 30 days. That might sound bold as shit, but it's the truth. I scaled the whole thing out. I integrated the sales team. I got all these KPIs driven, and now they're spending more money on ads, and now they're driving more revenue. Like that's how we became friends, because all I did was go in there and fix these small things, which were not really small, but like they were things that I had to obviously integrate. But like that's what mattered. The ads, dude, Their whole team was like, look at our ads manager. I'm like, I'm not going in the ads manager. The ads are fucking fine. The ads, there's no problem with the ads. You just have a really crappy funnel. And that was
very interesting because you work on the whole scope, not only the ads part, but even in the ladder, the product service level. Ladder. It's really interesting. Jason, let's go back one level. When you talked about the irresistible offer, what are the key components for an offer to be irresistible?
So the biggest thing that I look for is who is your ideal avatar and how do we give them a solution that they feel stupid saying no to? So like for example, right? There's two sides of an offer. There's being irresistible, but there's also believability. Okay, so let's say, for example, right, if I am a credit repair company, okay, we work with a lot of funding and credit repair companies. So if I'm credit repair and I said to you, hey, man, we're going to help you fix your credit in the next 30 days. Is that really that exciting? Yeah, it is. But like, there's no really specificity on it. It's just like, hey, we're just going to repair your credit and we've helped 300 people. Who cares? What instead if I said, hey, I'm gonna get you a boost of 110 plus points in the next 30 days. And if I don't provide you that result, then I will then pay you back a full refund and $500 for wasting your time. That is a good offer. It makes it stupid for you to say no. And then you back that up with social proof. And you're giving specificity to, hey, 110 points in 30 days. Okay, well, you better show me testimonials of people who got 110 points in 30 days. Like, that's the power of a better offer. But most people want an offer and they're just like, yeah, guaranteed satisfaction. Like, what does that even mean?
Means
it's so broad. It's just so intangible. It's just weird. I look at offers too for like specificity. Okay, if I'm a fitness trainer and I know that I can help somebody lose 90 pounds in 90 days, okay? I'm not going to sit there and say, okay, cool, 90 pounds, 90 days. And that's it. That's what I'm going to help you do. Instead, I'm going to say, hey, listen, it's 90 pounds in 90 days. And if I don't provide you that, I'll keep working with you for free until I do. And I'll give you $1,000 for wasting your time. That's a better offer. It's like, these are things that you need to offer stack to make sure that it makes them feel stupid for saying no. And that's all about Hermosi's
covering everything.
Offer.
True.
Yeah.
If I'll move to the next, so there is an offer, but there is a landing page, right? There is a converting sales page. How does this look and should be in order to really convert?
So the landing page is really just a mirroring image of the offer. Like, I know that sounds very vague, but let me explain. So like, you have your offer. Your landing page should mirror what the offer is. A lot of the times people run an ad with an offer and they go to the landing page and the copy and the headline is so different. If you say that you're going to achieve X result, or let's say busy moms are removing 90 pounds in 90 days by using this blah, blah, blah method, and it's guaranteed or $1,000 back for wasting your time to work for you until you do. If they go to the next page and it doesn't talk about busy moms, it doesn't talk about the 90 pounds, it just says, we're going to help you transform your fitness. That's not congruency. The offer and the headline on the landing page have to be the same. And then a video that provides value and also shows social proof and gives you context on the program and how to take action and what it looks like. You have your, your attention bar on the top, attention busy mom. You have your headline, you have your video, you have your first button. Maybe it's to an application, maybe it's to a survey. And then underneath that, you have your program overview. And then you have your storytelling, and then you have your testimonials, and then you have your frequently asked questions. And every single section has a button for them to then go to the next page. And that's really like landing pages. Yes, copy is important, but if you want to hike up your conversion rates very quickly, just go for more congruency. Maybe you're not a master copywriter. Just have really good congruency from the ad and offer to the landing page, and you'll have more success.
Wow. Thanks, Jason, for this information. I think it's very helpful for people. Now we'll move to the omnipresence part. You've talked about it very quick, but from a perspective of people on budget, should they go with omnipresence or what do you think?
So biggest thing I always tell people is you want to prove the concept on Facebook and Instagram first at around $50 to $75 a day. You get it off the ground there, and then you move to other platforms. So you can sit there with $50, $75 a day. You run that for a couple of weeks. It's working. Okay. Now you need to get out of fight or flight of having one platform. You take the winning creative, the winning copy, and you say, all right, cool. This creative worked on Facebook and Instagram. Let's go to TikTok. What do we have to do for TikTok, though? We have to make it shorter because it's even more impulse on TikTok. So now I have to make the video more short and faster. So now I take the video that went on Facebook and IG, move it to TikTok, make it shorter and faster, same copy, the headline's going to be the same, and now run TikTok. Track those KPIs. Okay, cool. We're doing well on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. What can we now do? We're running a ton of traffic to TikTok. Now we can use Facebook and Instagram to retarget all the TikTok traffic, and we can retarget all the Facebook traffic with TikTok traffic. Now they're working together. Now we could take the winning behaviors from Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and go make a YouTube video, which is going to be more long form, going to require more storytelling. Then we're running YouTube ads. And now YouTube and TikTok and Facebook and Instagram are all working together, retargeting every way that they go. And you're building that omnipresent circle that swarms the prospect around the internet. And it's just more efficient ad spend.
Well, I love how you broke it down, that because like sometimes people go to all platforms at once, but you're testing with Meta, let's put it, and then whatever's winning creative, you move it to other platforms as well. We'll move to the KPIs because that's a very interesting part. And actually, I didn't hear about it a lot. Yes, advertising spend was the only thing that people talk about, but you've talked about KPIs, like the performance indicators. Can you give us a little bit brief about them?
Yeah.
And how to optimize them actually?
Yeah. So like, for example, a good example of this is webinars. Okay. I run a lot of webinar funnels for people. I also run a lot of subscription funnels. So like if I'm running a webinar funnel, first thing I'm looking for is, does my offer actually correlate what I'm selling on the webinar? Does it actually correlate to what I'm targeting on the front end? A lot of people, when they run a webinar, they just target fucking anybody. They're just like, hey, join my webinar. But then what they sell on the webinar is who and not what they need. If I'm trying to teach, for example, I have a client, Mike and Bo, and they run a commercial real estate webinar. At first, they were just running it to everybody. I said, no, you guys have to say in the ad, like, if you're a current real estate investor who's looking to get into commercial, not just anybody who wants to make 5 to 10 grand a month cash flow from a commercial property. No. Now we switched it to just real estate investors. We're getting all these old people on a Zoom call. These older people have done real estate. They have money. And now they make 4 times more money on the webinar. That's a KPI of, we had a lot of people show up, but no one bought the offer. And I know how to build good offers. The offer is good on the call. It's got a guarantee. It's got a time frame. It's very affordable. It's an easy yes. Second thing is, you're getting people to sign up for the webinar. What's your show rate? Like, yeah, you might be getting a good cost per lead. Oh, but my cost per lead sucks and no one's showing up. Okay, cool. Does your social media look good? Do people even want to show up? Because if they don't see that you're organically pushing content, they don't trust you. There's no believability. Second is, what do your emails say? Are you storytelling? Are you teasing testimonials before the webinar? 3 is, are you giving enough notifications? Like, you could do a couple texts. You could also have an appointment setter call those leads and nurture them to where they're getting free-framed to buy on the webinar. 3 is, okay, they show up. Like, how many people stick during the webinar? Like, what's your percentage of people who drop off? If your drop-off rate is over 10% on a webinar, it means your webinar sucks. You're not getting their attention. You're not, like, answering people's questions in the chat. You're not somebody that they feel like you have good posture, tonality. You don't have a good background. You don't look trustworthy. You're not bringing testimonials into the webinar. Like, your pitch is boring, right? And that's a big piece of that. And then the last part of it is, what's your close rate? Like, how are we getting as many people as possible to maybe buy on the webinar, but do we have a way for them funding? Like, hey, it's $9.97, let's say. Okay, cool. It's $9.97. Go buy it. Okay, but what about people who want to do a payment plan? Like, yeah, me and you, we have $9.97, but other people don't. So can we use a firm? PayPal credit? Like, are we going to use funding? We could scoop up an extra 20, 30% of people if they just went in, applied, and they could pay $98 a month for 8 months or some shit like that, whatever it looks like. They're going to be able to get in. You still get paid up front. And then during the webinar, put up a phone number on the screen so that they can always text you.
Visible, true.
And then you can have your sales team nurture them after the webinar and call them right after. Hey, you have any questions? How'd you enjoy the webinar? And now you're selling on the phone too. So there's all these other touch points that people are missing. And all they care about is the ad. The ad doesn't matter. You got them on the webinar. How do you sell? So like, that's the biggest piece. Like, that's how I break down KPIs. I look at every single step.
But it depends. Like, depends on the business model. Absolutely. KPIs differs business model by business model. But Jason, you grew like over 1,300 companies. You scaled them, or businesses, I would say. If you could list me, what are the main challenges in these companies? Like, people are just what? why they can't scale. Maybe
One,
they can't, they don't want to spend, the returns are null, their offer sucks.
yeah. One is they're not open-minded to what's in their market because they're so egotistical about what they think is right and wrong because they think that just because they made a couple $1,000,000 that they know everything. That's number one. Second is they really don't understand how important it is to build a good sales culture. Like, I'll go into companies and their salespeople downright suck and they just don't want to admit it. They're just like, but if we had to rehire all these people and build new culture, it would take us so long. And I'm like, dude, you're already losing a lot of money right now. You might as well start over. Like, build a better sales department, get a sales director, track those KPIs. Third is they're so hung up on organic because either they've done it for a while and they're like, yeah, I made all my money organically. Okay, but maybe you were in like a really good niche that was high ticket as hell to where organic made you a lot of money. Like, we have a lot
What's your view on organic versus paid, Jason? Overall,
organic's great, but like, dude, I want to be able to wake up in the morning and know that I'm going to have X amount of leads. Like, for example, for us, like, yeah, I'll get 4 to 5 book calls a day organically, but dude, we spend 12 grand a day on ads. I'm getting over 75 book calls a day for my sales team. That is what I want to wake up to every single day. I do not want to wake up.
That's scale.
Yeah, but I don't want to wake up and have to worry where my calendar is. Like, I can go to sleep at night and I know that if I wake up, my guys are going to have 70 calls and 4 of them are going to show up. I know that's going to happen. I don't want to be able to wake up and say, damn, like, we only got one person on the calendar. Yeah. What the hell? Like, how do we get more? Spend money on ads. And like, organic's great, man. A lot of people built their business organically and I appreciate that. But dude, organic in a world
you can't scale.
You can't scale it. I want to put gas on the fire and I want to run ads and get more traffic. So that's just my belief in it.
So if you want to give an advice to these type of entrepreneurs who are starting off, what kind of advice would you give them?
If you don't figure out a paid traffic system with the way that the economy is moving, and especially political stuff right now, which we're not going to get into, but like if you don't have paid ads running and you're depending on organic, the economy is shifting right now. You're either going to spend the money now or your business is going to crumble later on. And social media platforms, they're just like, they're so like, they're just, you can't really depend on them.
Snaky. Let's put it this way. Snaky.
Yeah. Like, you could wake up tomorrow and your Instagram account could just be randomly taken down. And people will say, oh, well, that's not me. Well, if it happens, what are you going to do? Well, I don't have the money to get it back. Okay, well, that's because you ran your business organically. You made such little money. You don't have money to pay to play. Like, all these things that we have to think about. I mean, the biggest advice is getting and harnessing a paid traffic system that you can wake up to and have leads to talk to and have conversations. If you don't pay for it now, you're going to pay for it later, and it's going to hurt a lot later.
You were a guy that started the journey right away as an entrepreneur. So do you believe everybody can be an entrepreneur or not? Or some people are meant to be in corporate?
Yeah, I mean, I think it really comes down to personality traits and like your childhood. Personally, I think that like if we were to put a group of 100 entrepreneurs in a room right now, I would say 95 of them do not have what it takes. Even though they raise their hand and say that they're an entrepreneur, they really don't know shit. So
I love that.
It's a very small group of people who are actually able to go to 7 and 8 figures. People who like, and it's nothing against people, but like if you're making 6 figures, you're really just like a freelancer. You're not really an entrepreneur. I can't stand that crap. Where people are like, oh yeah, I make 6 figures a year, I'm an entrepreneur. You're really not. Like, you're not putting your back against the wall to scale further. And people won't like that comment, but that's just the truth, man. Like, being an entrepreneur entails you to take on more risk. You also have to know people. And if you know people and you know systems and you know building teams, you're making 7+ figures a year. Like, that's where you're really an entrepreneur. You are a leader inside of your community. You're a leader inside of your business, and your people, like, you're someone that people look up to. And that's a whole different ballgame. You got to have a whole different personality trait for that.
If I ask you what success means to you at your age,
freedom.
What does it mean?
Freedom. Dude, I watched.
Did it change 5 years back?
Yes. In the beginning, I thought that it was all about money. And then I realized that you're using money to buy back time because you want to enjoy as much time as possible, and time is just way more valuable. So now, like, I look back at my childhood and I realize how much my parents worked and how little time they had to enjoy themselves and how little they traveled. And like, it's all about freedom for me. Like, I could wake up today and not work for the next month and nothing would change.
True.
That's the freedom to be able to just be able to sit there and be like, all right, like, fuck it. What do I want to do today? Do I want to play basketball? Do I want to go play tennis? Do I want to go fuck around and do whatever? Do I want to go
True.
bulky in the
And
gym?
life will move.
Like, that's what I want to be able to do. So freedom was more important to me. Once I started making money, I realized that money was a means to an end. Right. And then I started getting more into like philanthropy and helping people and doing charity and all this other stuff. Like that stuff meant more to me than just like
Money gives you all this accessibility. True.
Yeah.
What was your biggest failure to date that you're proud of? Like taught you a lot. You're grateful for
my
it.
biggest failure was, I remember 2 years ago, we were running, like we were doing very well. 2 years ago, I think we were doing about 300 grand a month. And at the time we had a Facebook issue. I was only running Facebook ads for clients. And I remember this day because I was visiting New York at the time. I was in Florida because I was 6 years ago. I moved to Florida, but 2 years ago, I went back to New York to visit my family and I was hanging out with my friends. And one of my employees calls me and he's like, dude, our Facebook account went down. And I'm like, yo, shut up, dude. All of our client ad accounts got banned. Like literally all of them. We had 114 ad accounts that went down. And these are our clients, bro. So they're on subscription. Their credit cards are on file. They're paying us and all their shit got banned. At the time, dude, I didn't have a lot of access to people who could get me unbanned. So I had to go message all my friends. And that's a very important piece about network and access, that you have to pay to get those things. So I did that and I wind up having to pay a Facebook rep $850 per ad account. So I basically wind up wiring like 90 something grand to this guy. And dude, that lesson taught me a lot. And I wind up getting, and I got the ad accounts back, and like the clients weren't mad. They were down for about 48 hours, but like we let them rest assured that we're going to put our money where our mouth is. We had to spend all that money. And that was the day I realized that we had to run ads on other platforms for clients. And also I had to go pay to get more access to never have that happen again. And now for the last 2 years, it never happened. So like I had to spend a lot of money that day. Also, I had to spend money to get access to the rep. So like the rep is the one who unbanned it, and I paid and I paid a middleman.
Exactly. Intermediary.
I said, dude, I'll give you another 20 grand if you just like let me talk to this guy. And then that guy.
And Jason, if we're talking straight off, there was no issue. Like just like banned, thank you very much, nothing. Which shit hit the fan.
I wired the 90 grand, then I paid him 20, and then the rep charged 75,000 a year. So then I'm sitting there in my friend's fucking couch. And I'm sitting here spending 170, 160 grand, and literally within a minute of half an hour. And like that was the day that I was like, damn, I could have spent that money somewhere else. I could have got real estate. I could have spent money on ads. I could have done, but instead I'm paying a company that I don't own how to fix my shit. And that bothered me. And that was probably one of my biggest failures, but I learned a ton from it, and it made me like buckle up. And that was good. Sometimes we have to learn from trauma. Sometimes we have to learn from financial losses.
And it built your network, and actually built your network.
Yeah. So now when someone gets banned,
on the flip.
Yeah, like when someone gets banned now, we're just like, hey, we got you. We're good.
So we're going to fix it for you. We know how. If I'm going to flip the question, what is the proudest accomplished to date? The best thing you did? You know, what you did for Andy was an amazing success story, actually. What is the biggest accomplishment to date now?
You know what's crazy? It's not even an accomplishment. It's like after the last 8 months of doing podcasts and like speaking at a lot of events, I didn't do a lot of that years ago. And over the last 8 months, man, like my cell phone has probably the coolest contacts that people would die for. And I think that like it was important for me to have this really cool Rolodex of people that I could text and call and always get a solution. Like, and that's my biggest accomplishment. That dude, like now on my cell phone, bro, every single person that people follow on the internet, likelihood is that I have them and I talk to them. And that was the most important thing for me. So like, that was definitely the biggest accomplishment, was doing the podcast, travel.
I love how you said it, actually. Like you didn't connect it to anything, you connected to people.
Dude, like literally, if I have a problem, I'm not even worried anymore. I'm like, fuck it. I know somebody. So it's
we'll get it done.
Yeah. And it was cool for me because I was so behind the scenes for years, like not in a ego way, but like I just was a kid who ran ads on a laptop, and that was all I did. I didn't go to events. I was afraid to speak on stage. I didn't have good tone out. I didn't have good posture. I wasn't really like, I didn't have a lot of self-belief. But now after doing podcasts and traveling and, being more comfortable with myself, like I just got into bigger circles and I went value first instead of just like, hey, here's what I charge. Instead, I would go into the whole value standpoint. Like with Andy, I didn't even charge him up front. I did the shit. I went to Arizona. Now where I live, I went to Arizona, flew into the office, fixed all the shit. Then I got him results, and he was like, bro, you're like a god. And I was like, I tried. So like, that's what I did. And then he introduced me to all these people, and it was just cool, dude. And that was more important to me for sure.
If we're going into the future, like even with AI now, what trends do you see in digital marketing overall? Like what's going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, dude, biggest trends I'm looking at are there's a lot of stuff in the AI appointment setting space for business owners to have like AI voice appointment setters. That's number one. Number two is just more like revenue per employee efficiency. A lot of entrepreneurs don't look at their revenue per employee, but like you can make it a lot more efficient and revenue per hour more efficient with AI, which then increases revenue per employee. So that's the biggest thing. Like maybe you have a big team, you get more out of them when you're able to make them more efficient.
A question, we talked about the irresistible offer, the landing page, the copy. Will AI take over this also or not?
I mean, the AI stuff, like, to be honest, probably not anytime soon. Like, building offers.
Still robotic.
Yeah.
Still robotic.
It's too robotic. The only thing that AI will help you with is the KPI part, which is doing all the tracking and the automations. That's fine. That's all KPI driven. That's AI driven. That can do that because that's graphs and numbers. But, like, anything that is people or offers or landing page, like I stay clear of using AI for that because they don't understand my product ladder or how my ecosystem works.
True. Or the language of consumer as well, because I believe the psychology of consumer is different. How is your typical day looks like?
So right now, I usually wake up around 6 a.m. And 6 a.m. I'll get up, I go get my coffee. I'll take a morning drive. That's a big thing for me. Like when I wake up, a lot of people are like, oh, go cold plunge, go to the gym.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that stuff is cool, but
doesn't work for me.
Dude, I just like driving around. I'll drive around and I'll just get motivated because I have nice cars. So it's cool to go outside and just like drive around for a little bit and just get motivated for the day and listen to music and like have my alone time for like an hour. And then once I come back, I look at my calendar. I see what the hell's going on. I have a quick 10-minute call with my assistant and she'll say, hey, like, here's what I'm working on today or blah, blah, blah. And then I get on my calls. And then I have a leadership meeting. And then from there, it's really whatever the hell I want to do. So it's like, hey, I want to go play basketball for an hour. All right, cool. Then I'll go to the gym. Then I'll come back. I have a couple one-on-one clients. And then I have private clients. And then I end the day off. And then I'll do something fun. Either it's a comedy show. Yesterday I went to a baseball game. Or I'll just find something to do that I want to do. Like maybe it's like I'm big into wine and like liquor. Not because I'm an alcoholic. But I do a lot of like, I collect a lot of bottles and stuff. I think it's like cool. So I'll do like wine tasting. I'll buy and I do wine flipping too. I do liquor flipping. So like I'll buy bottles that are aged that are, like I have a lot here like Macallan. I have a lot of those Macallan bottles that are $15,000, $20,000 and then I'll flip them.
Of course.
So like I'll do that too. I'm really big into that. And then I'll do like my Pokemon card stuff. Because I do a lot of Pokemon card flipping, dude. Oh my God.
Really? It's been ages now, huh?
Dude,
it's been...
People who are listening to this who maybe do that too, they'll understand what I'm talking about because over the last 90 days, dude, I had about $100,000 in Pokemon cards. The value tripled over the last 90 days. So like now it's like $300,000 in Pokemon cards. So now like I'm going heavily on it. So a lot of money I reinvest just really heavy into the Pokemon card game because the value's there right now. Like it's very
wow.
So yeah.
Wow. Jason, we're on the Alpha Talk show and we have a nugget question, which I usually ask the alpha guest. How do you define an alpha?
How do I define an alpha? I think it's all about being a leader. I think that being a alpha is about being somebody that people look up to, not just for monetary reasons, but for leadership, for mindset, for somebody who they see themselves like being a hero for them. I feel like that's a big thing. Like, when we say alpha on the internet, people always allude to like being a bodybuilder and being massively
true.
But like, I think you have to be an alpha in multiple facets of your life. So it's mental, psychological, It's being a
True.
leader. It's being a people person. It's being someone that people look up to, and it's being somebody who's willing to do whatever it takes to get it done. And I think that's
True.
what an alpha.
I love this definition. We have a section called the Alpha Quickfire. I'll ask you quick questions and I get quick answers. So are you ready for that?
Yeah, let's do it.
So what's your favorite book? Business book?
Business book. I would say Think Again.
Best piece of advice you've received?
Best piece of advice. If you are impatient, the person who will beat you is just more patient.
Who's your biggest inspiration?
Biggest inspiration. Kobe Bryant.
True. One word to describe your work ethic.
Insane.
What's your favorite way to generate new ideas?
Whiteboard.
What's the best part of your job?
Seeing people grow within the company.
What's top skill every entrepreneur these days should have?
Sales.
Your favorite place to travel?
Dorado Beach, Puerto Rico.
Oof. Do you have a daily motto or a mantra that you live by every day?
Day one or one day.
True. Describe yourself in 3 words.
In a few words. Caring, trustworthy, and I would say ferocious.
Oof. The next question is, I ask the alpha guest, you can ask me whatever question you want. Just one question, ask me whatever.
Where do you...
And the question should be, no. When are we going to work together?
No. Where do you see yourself? Because you're a lot like, well, this is actually, no, I want to reframe this.
Yeah.
I don't know how much older you are than me, but...
40. I'm 40 years old.
Okay. If
39.
you were 27, do you have a family and kids?
No.
Okay. So if you were 27, what would you tell yourself now that you're 40?
Whew. Take more risks. I started to take risks a little bit later in my life.
Was that
I started my life in corporate.
Was it financially or location based, like moving somewhere? Like what was the risks?
Moving and financially, because I used to be in a corporate world. I used to work in Samsung, and then afterwards I moved out. At 27, I'll take more risks. Because, to put it simple, you have nothing to lose at a young age. You still have you have life in front of you.
Gotcha.
So that's gonna be the thing that I'm gonna tell myself.
I like it.
I have the next section is I give you choices and you pick one. Okay, it's called the alpha choices. So if I ask you Facebook ads or Google ads,
Facebook.
high converting landing page or resistible offer, and choose one.
The offer first. Yeah.
Phew. Video ads or image ads?
That's a tough one because it really doesn't
Yeah.
matter. I mean, if I were to go
really?
if I were to go all in, it would probably just be video. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If I had
Hands-on.
if I had an indispensable budget where I could spend thousands on videos and production, I would do video ads all day. Yeah.
Video ads. Digital marketing conference or one-on-one client meeting?
Conference.
Conference. Long-term brand building or short-term revenue spikes?
This might be against what people believe, but I think short-term revenue, because if I have more short-term revenue, I can then spend extra money to then build brand.
True. Winning an award for best ad campaign or breaking a record for the highest ROAS?
ROAS.
Oof. What is your long-term goals with Wojo Media?
Long-term goals would be I want to have a sales team of 25 people or more. I want to run the biggest ad events in the advertising space. We've ran events already. We're just not the biggest yet. Third would be we want to do 100 million in revenue. And fourth would be we made the Inc. 5000 list, but I want to be able to make the Inc. CEO 500 list.
I'm sure you're going to make it. how people can connect to you or Wojo Media if they want to work with you? What the easiest way?
Yeah, easiest way is to go on Instagram at the Jason Wojo. And they can just
I'll put it in the description as well.
They can click the link in my bio, or they can just simply send us a message, and one of my sales and senior advisors will reach out and get you booked.
Super. What would be the final message you want to leave the audience with today?
Final message would be, with the world changing the way that it is, I think that people should trust people more and not be so hoarding about their money, because people are getting more egotistical and just more solo than ever. I think that we need each other more than we think. And I think that the world's kind of losing that emotional touch to people. I think that we just need to trust people more. Even though some people are not in the best, you still have to trust them to either learn, or you're going to find great relationships. And I think that people matter more than just a dollar.
True. I love that. Jason, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. And I'm sure a lot of people listening to us and watching us will get a lot of valuable information, because what you're doing is really what people need these days to get their business up and running on the online space. So thank you very much. We appreciate it. And we look forward to see you in Dubai. Are you coming soon?
Oh, dude, I'll definitely come to Dubai. Hell yeah.
Yeah, we need to catch up in Dubai. So thank you very much once again.
Yeah, thank you.
That wraps another inspiring episode of today's show. I hope that this episode has ignited your inner alpha and left you feeling inspired, motivated, and ready to conquer any challenge that comes your way. Remember, alphas aren't born, they're made. It isn't about dominating others, it's about embracing your authenticity, leading with integrity, and making a positive impact on the world. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to the Alpha Talks on your favorite podcast platform. Leave us a review and share the podcast with your fellow alphas. Also connect with us on social media at Seif El Hakim. Share your thoughts, insight, and stories of personal and business growth with us. Let's create a movement of alphas supporting one another. The world needs more alphas like you exactly. Until next time, stay bold, stay driven, and stay alpha.